I'd like you to give me a warm hand, please, Mr. John Reynolds. The other thing I sort of add to that, really, my measure of anybody, I think, in 25 years selling motorcycles is I look at a person, irrespective of where they're from, and say, would I sit and have a pint with that man for half an hour and listen to him? Well, yeah, he's a top bloke, John's a top bloke, I'd listen to him all day. So what we want to do today is talk a bit about racing, talk a bit about the GSXR600 and its development. Go for it. Go for it, John. So, I think a lot of people have seen the facts and figures on the GSXR, and they're impressive. Outwardly, though, it hasn't changed a great deal, but just how good is this weight saving, and how much better are the features on this bike compared to the old one, and what will it mean to anybody who's riding one?
Well, you say that outwardly the bike really hasn't changed, but in actual fact, if you start looking at all the changes to the bike, I mean, from a distance the bike looks pretty similar, but there's a different chassis on it. The wheelbase is shorter, there's weight saving on the chassis, on the wheels, also the engine's lighter, a closer ratio gearbox, more mid-range power, so yeah, the bike's an absolute weapon.
Okay, and you spent quite a bit of time developing this bike.
Yeah, last year in June we went out into Germany and we tested the bike over there with the Japanese staff came over with the pre-production bikes, and as I say, we spent 3 weeks in Germany. We had the 600 and the 750 and really put them through the paces.
So in terms of, I mean, 9 kilograms is the weight saving, that's the big news on it, more than anything else, and of course the Brembo brakes and the big forks.
And the big piston forks, yeah, of course. I mean, we all know that the Brembo brake is probably the best brake in the world. I mean, there's no surprise really, if all the World Superbike teams are using them, then really the way forward is for Suzuki really start putting Brembo brakes on the bikes, and yeah, it's made a big difference. I mean, if anybody had a complaint about the old GSXR, it was the braking system on the front, but that's been rectified now, and you can actually turn the bike over 150 mile an hour if you wanted to.
Okay, I've just got to do a housekeeping thing before we carry on. Can the owner of a Red Rover, please, BN04 HGV, just repark on you're blocking somebody in who wants to go. That's. Oh, it's Dayglow, for God's sake. Can you hear me? Can you understand me if you can hear me? Dave, do us a favour. Thanks, mate. So, again, go back to the weight. In terms of how it will feel for us who are riding it, we're not racers. How's it gonna feel so much better when we're out on it?
Well, I mean, first of all, you just get the bike off the stand, and you can feel the weight just by pushing it. That the bike is lighter. But the deal is, you save weight with more horsepower on the bike. The bike is quicker. It'll accelerate harder, and obviously that's what we're looking for.
And it'll turn, presumably.
It'll also turn, but also with the engine the way it is, it's developing more mid-range power as well. So with more mid-range power, lighter pistons which help the engine accelerate quicker, and lighter weight, from A to B the bike is a lot stronger. And of course, the weight saving is not just in the engine and the chassis, it's also in the wheels as well, and the brakes and the forks. So what you get, obviously at high speed, you get a gyroscopic effect through the bike, and the bike just wants to go in a straight line. Obviously, if you can reduce the gyroscopic effect of the bike, then the bike is going to flick from side to side easier. So, it's all win-win really. Okay.
I think we made a calculation that simply the 9 kilo weight saving on its own is probably equivalent to about 6.5 horsepower.
Yeah, that's what with. I mean, I've obviously not been involved in that calculation, but yeah, that's right. It's. I mean, you can actually just feel what 9 kilos feels like, and it's quite immense.
And I think if you wanted to gain 6 horsepower on the old one, it'd probably cost you about £1,000 at least, 1,500 quid to get a can and a power commander on it.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the most important thing really with the 600 is, the slightest amount of gain in power is a big difference, because power to weight and everything else. In actual fact, the power to weight on the GSXR this year is far outstrips any other 600 on the road.
So which bikes did you compare it to when you were testing it?
Yeah, well, we tested the new bike against the current bike, which is obviously last year's, we had the Honda, the Yamaha and the Kawasaki. So every bike was put through its paces, and also back to back. We did a lot of work on the road and also took them to the race circuit and tested them there. So, what we didn't want to do was come away from that test not having a bike as strong as anybody else. We actually came away from that test with the strongest bike out there.
You're convinced of that?
Absolutely, no doubt about that. I mean, that's absolute fact, yeah.
Yeah, I think when I spoke to you last time, I looked at it, and sometimes I think you can just tell, after a lot of years doing this, that when a bike's just right. It is just right. I think it looks just right. I haven't ridden it yet, but I'm pretty sure it will be.
Yeah, you're going to love it. I mean, I'm singing its praises. I've been singing its praises for the last, not publicly, obviously, but within Suzuki GB. I came back from the test and I said, you know what, we've got probably the best 600 ever built, and that's true.
That's nice. And can you get? I know these guys. I see these new bikes turn up. Can you give some idea of what sort of time you spent riding it? What a typical day would be, or whatever? How much development time you spend on the thing?
Well, it sounds quite glamorous being a test rider, but it really is quite hard work. We're up at 6 in the morning. We're down to the special garage area where we work from. And 9 o'clock, the bike will be taken out. There's 4 test riders, three European and 1 Japanese. And basically the bike's out all day long with each rider on the bike. So the long days, and of course, we'll work until 6 o'clock, and then of course then there's a debrief, and we'll probably leave the test area, around about 9 o'clock at night, and then get home to the hotel, have something to eat, and then go to bed, and then get back up in the morning and do it all again. And it's 7 days a week.
Was there particularly any area of the bike where you came back and said that needs sorted? Did you sort of end up taking control of one bit of it?
Well, the bike actually was pretty well sorted when we started testing it, but of course what we do, we don't just get a bike and then leave it as it is. There's obviously a format that we have to go and test it with the electronics, with the forks, the springs, the rear shocks and stuff like that. And then what we do is probably make the bike worse and then come back to make the bike better again. So what we need to do is find out what makes it worse and what makes it better, and then we've got a good benchmark really.
Okay. And of course, we'll be demoing the bike as we go into the next couple of weeks. I think the staff have cajoled it for the first 2 weeks. We're going to be running it in, and then of course it'll be available for demonstration. I have to say, I think we're probably looking more forward to this bike than we have done for a bike in a long, long time, aren't we? It just looks right. But the other thing that's happening, of course, we've all gone through a torrid winter. This has been the longest winter I can remember, particularly in this industry. We're all looking forward to it now. We're looking forward to summer now, and that means racing, doesn't it? I mean, in about 3 weeks' time, is it? WSB will kick off or something like that. So tell us about what new Suzuki have got racing this year.
Yeah, well, Suzuki in the past has been running 2 race teams side by side, Crescent Suzuki and also Taz Suzuki. This year they're going to be putting all the efforts, Suzuki GB are putting all the efforts behind Taz. One of the reasons for that is the value for money that Taz offer. They also do Superbike, they're doing Super Sport this year, also doing work in the Isle of Man, the TT, the Northwest. So value for money is great, but we've got Josh Brooks on the bike.
That's going to be interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, he's a talented rider, and he's got a lot more to offer, I think, than he has given at the moment. So
this is the same Josh Brooks who played Skittles at the airpin at Mallory. That's the guy.
He's the one that took all the Suzukis out at the same time. That's right. But no, he's a good lad. He's very focused. He's very fit, and he's determined to win a British Superbike Championship. So that's the Superbike sorted out. We've also, because we've got the brand new 600 this year, we've got Alistair Seeley he's coming back off Superbike, back onto a production-based bike now, and he's going to be fronting Suzuki's efforts really with the new GSXR600. So again, I maintain that that new GSXR600 is the best bike out there, and with a good rider on it and a good team working with them.
So it's going to prove it this year then?
Yeah, I mean, I put my neck on the line really in saying that, we everything's in place now to take the British Super Sport Championship. So, I mean, we can never say, it's going to be easy, of course, because there's a lot of talent out there, but I think we've got everything in place that is going to give us a good chance of taking a championship.
And MotoGP just down to 1 rider now?
Yeah, it's...
Batista?
Alvaro Batista. I mean, he's a class act, and there's no doubt about it. We haven't seen the best of him yet, and he's a real good guy. He's a young lad, and
I think he's been practicing quite well, hasn't he? I think
it's been going good. Yeah, it's been going very, very well. So fingers crossed, he could be a dark horse. Really, to be fair. I mean, he's really keen, he wants to do the job, and you know, if Suzuki can get this bike sorted out for him and working around him. Now they've only got one rider, you know, that might make the job a bit easier, but we'll see. But yeah, exciting times.
And WSB, what going on there?
Well, unfortunately, no. Suzuki have pulled out of WSB. Which
I shouldn't have asked that question.
No, not really, no.
We won't talk about WSB then. So do you miss it? Do you miss it yourself?
Well, yeah, I do. I mean, it's easier now than it was. I mean, when I first retired, you know, coming back, Shaky Burns took my ride with Rizzler Suzuki, and it was just like watching, you know, him taking my girlfriend out, you know, because me and the team and the bike.
He didn't do that as well, did he?
Not that I know of, but I wouldn't put it past him. But no, it's yeah, it's hard for the first year or so. But as time's gone on now, I've actually rolled into the role I'm in, and I'm enjoying it immensely, and it's great now. I mean, I'm at an age where I couldn't do the job properly anyway, so it's just a great privilege, really, to be still involved in racing.
And have you kept yourself in shape since you've left racing? Because it's always, you know, too many pies and all that.
Yeah, well, I must admit, when I retired, I sort of struggled a bit because I had so many broken bones that I sort of couldn't really do much for the first year or so. But as time's gone on, in actual fact, I've just started training now again, because I do want to get some level of fitness again for this coming season. Not that I need to be, it's just I want to, you know, feel better than myself, really. So I'm on the row machine now. I can't run anymore, but I'm doing sort of 10,000 metres a day, and that burns off about just 600 calories a day, so that allows me to eat 2 more pies at night.
Well, we might test you on that in a minute, if that's okay. I've got a little challenge in there. Just to let you know that, I mean, the racing season is going to kick off soon. Those of you who don't know, Motorcycle News run a fantasy road race competition nationally, and locally we run our own league, the Street Bike Track Stars. That's going to be kicking off, I think, from Tuesday. You can register. If we've got your details, you can actually join our league, Street Bike Track Stars, if you've got your own team. We pay out £50 a game round, 7 game rounds, and whoever's champion at the end gets a replica helmet of their choice, and we have a lot of fun with it. And I've had a promise today that the first person that's going to sign up is Mr. John Reynolds for our league, is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Never done it before, but I'm willing for a challenge.
Oh, well, it gets pretty good. The 50 quid can go to charity. You know what? If you've got a nominated charity, you should win, we'll send it there. But I always think that these people turn up, you see them on the TV shows, and they go, we'll give you £100 towards your nominated charity. But the bloke's probably going, you know what, can I have it? But no, if you want the 50 quid, mate, you can do that, or tell us which charity.
Okay, thank you. Diabetes UK, that'll win.
Okay, we'll do that then. I'm trying to think what else we're going to talk about now. We've done about the racing. We've got dead time now, mate. We've done the racing. Challenge. I think it's the challenge, mate. Because you've got to get off in a bit, haven't you? So you reckon you've kept yourself pretty fit?
Go on, what are you saying?
Well, I'm just going to test that. But I tell you what, though, before I do, has anybody got any questions they'd like to ask John? Yeah, go on. Sorry, mate.
How long did it took to get John Hopkins signed up for Suzuki?
Yeah, it's been taking quite a while. I mean, John Hopkins has got a good association with Suzuki, obviously MotoGP with them, and with Paul Denning now running MotoGP for Suzuki. They've obviously kept in touch and contact. So this has been going on now for probably 5 or 6 months. So it's a great coup really for BSB and for Crescent Suzuki.
Anybody else?
What do you think of Guy Martin's chances at the TT this year?
Guy Martin's chance of the TT this year, very good. He's on a Suzuki, and you know, he went away testing. He came over with us with the launch of the GSXR600 at Almeria, and he was riding the superbike there, and he was going good. He looks good on the bike, and he's happy with the bike. Works well with the team, and yeah, I mean, he's a formidable sort of character, and I think he's got a good chance of doing well this year.